Once again with another episode of a Nerds podcast. I'm delighted to have a guest with me today. You're the lead singer of Skies of Terror, right?
Yeah, I'm one of the vocalists.
Cool. Justin Townsend. Nice to meet you today. I appreciate you doing this podcast for me.
I got no problem.
So, basically, the summary of the podcast is basically a podcast for nerds like music, movies, horror movies, anything nerds like. Not necessarily don't have to be a nerd, but whatever is like, whatever you enjoy. Like if you like watching horror movies, you're like music, or you like video games or whatnot. So that's basically what this podcast is for. And I saw you on Facebook. I thought you're a pretty cool band. I checked your music out. It's really good. So
I appreciate you.
So how did you get started in music? What got you started?
Well, basically, it all started with one guy in the band, Cletus Blanco. He had these instrumentals that he was working on, and there were a lot of nights of drinking, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And he would play these instrumentals for me, and I'm like, yeah, these are actually pretty good. Like, you don't have any lyrics or anything over it? And he said, no. I don't think they're ready for lyrics. He kind of wanted to keep it as an instrumental project. So I kind of like pushed him. This was back, I'm thinking like 2015, around that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I said, people aren't really going to care too much about your instrumental project. You got to have like some kind of lyrics in the back there to kind of back up the music and have people interested in what you're trying to say, what your message is. So eventually got to a part where I would just keep egging him on to it. And one night he was like, back in like 2018, early 2019, he said, all right, yeah, I think I'm ready to put some vocals down on these songs. So the first song that we did was Black Crow on the Lunar album that we released in May of 2019. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
May of 2019. He ended up leaving to take his pick up his kid from school, and he comes back, and I have like the first verse written down, and I'm already like, starting to do the vocals for him. And he was like, "Did you write that like just as I left?" And I said, "Yeah, I got it all down." And then it pretty much went from there. And that's when we got the two other members, Chris Bell and Liam Fon, into it. And Liam's a lead guitarist, and Chris is another vocalist, but we don't have a bassist or a drummer, so we're like a backing track band at this point. Kind of still on the search for it, but it just hasn't happened yet.
It's all good, but you're a good band. I like it. What is your influences? Do you have any influences? Do you have that?
My main influences, they come from like Lamb of God. A Day to Remember is like my biggest one. I'm like in love with A Day to Remember.
Okay.
Yeah, Lamb of God, Day to Remember. There's a lot of like Tool and Deftone vibes in the music that's being written. I'm also getting into like some heavier stuff. I'm getting into like more like Knocked Loose and Brand of Sacrifice and stuff like that. So I'm trying to learn some of those elements vocally and try to put those into the next EP that we're writing.
Okay, that's cool. When y'all write music, who mainly writes it? It's a collaborative thing, and how do y'all write music? Like, I have no musical talent, so I wouldn't even know anyway. But how do y'all go about writing it?
We've come to the conclusion that we've been writing our songs backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's being more of a collaborative effort. Before, like, everything was already pretty much written already. So
Mm-hmm.
we just put the lyrics and the vocals over it on the Lunar album. But now it's becoming more collaborative. So basically what we're doing now at this point is that we are, Cletus goes ahead and does like the bass and the drum track, and he lays down the rhythm guitar. And then that's when we start getting together, and it's like, this is what we have so far as a bass. And then we start brainstorming ideas for Liam, and Liam has input on what he does. And then we get to the point of writing the lyrics and then putting the vocals and the melodies on that. So a lot of bands that I've talked to said that they pretty much just like write lyrics first and then build everything around that. But us, we do everything half-ass backwards.
It's all good.
I don't know. It just works.
Yeah, as long as it works, all that matters. How you come to conclusion. But like when y'all get started, how did y'all go about the venues or something like that? Where do you normally play? Is it basically what is your scene like in your area?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What kind of music scene in your area? I'm not explaining it really good, but what kind of musical scene in your area is like? How's your area like in metal or?
Like asking how the music scene is around the area?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to ask. Yeah.
The best way I could say it is welcoming. We first got started, it's like, we've been surrounding ourselves with bands that are similar to us. We've only played a handful of shows until COVID hit.
Yeah.
We've played with bands that are like us, like there's Gator Shakes. We played a show with Ignition Point, Everyone Hates Everything. There's a few others I just can't remember off the top of my head right now.
That's cool.
But the scene it's more welcoming than anything.
That's
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's cool. I was just agreeing. I'm glad it's good. That's good.
No, everyone's been really supportive, and there isn't. It's kind of hard to try to explain it because it's been so long since we've actually done anything with anyone else in the scene. But
I got you.
they're all nice people. They're all very supportive. They all they give criticism constructively and
Okay.
respectfully.
Hmm.
So they're a good group of people for sure. Like they're all good ones.
That's cool. I like that. Um, what kind of music are you listening to? Well, you said you were influenced. Is there any new music that you listen to that you really like? I mean, it doesn't have. It can be anything, but do you any music you really enjoy listening to right now?
And right now, like the more aggressive, the better. It's been like a lot of To the Grave. Um, like I said, Brand of Sacrifice I've been super into.
Cool.
Um, I just pretty much put on a playlist on my phone and I let it go. There's been some good stuff coming up on my phone from McCamus Romans. That's another good one.
Okay.
Um, I've been super stuck on Bring Me the Horizon lately,
Hmm.
more so from That's the Spirit and Ammo. But That's the Spirit album. That one, I've been listening to that one nonstop for I don't know, probably for about a good like 6 months now. Even though it came out a lot earlier than that, I'm like late on all the music. So
It's all good. Now, do you know the band Butchered Babies?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
They're not bad. Um, what is your? Because will you consider yourself a death metal band or a thrash or a heavy thrash metal band? What would you consider yourself?
We consider ourselves more of like a progressive rock, progressive metal, because
Okay.
we have a lot of different elements in our music now. We have like the gutturals and the low screams, and then we have some high screams coming from Chris and some clean vocals coming from Cletus and Chris.
Yeah.
Um, so beforehand you classified it as like jazz fusion or some shit like that, but it just sounds like, dude, we're not jazz fusion. We're nowhere near that.
That's cool. I like a lot wide variety of different kind of music and stuff like that, and I like how bands can fuse sounds together. It just makes it even cooler when they come together. Um, have you heard of like the band Baby Metal?
Yeah, I feel like baby metal was like a real preferred taste. Um,
Yeah, acquired. Yeah, it can be acquired
yeah,
taste.
like they've done some things with Bring Me the Horizon. I think they're on their latest album. But it's just I don't know, man. I can't get into that one. One band that I actually have been getting into super heavy is Sleep Token. Have you heard of them?
No, but I check them out though. I would like to check them.
Oh, boy, let me tell you, it's a treat. They are a treat. Sleep Token has this. No one knows apparently who the band members are.
Hmm.
The front man he goes by the name of Vessel,
Hmm.
and no one knows who he is. It's pretty much like the Ghost Effect before one of his goals ended up suing him. You find out it's Tobias Forge, or
Okay.
it's like the Slipknot,
Yeah.
Slipknot effect before Corey Taylor just decided to take his mask off and was dead sour.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no one knows who he is, and everything he sees, he things in his dreams. So, and the band Sleep Token, the name came from an ancient deity that they go ahead and they worship, and that they dubbed Sleep because the human tongue, the modern day human tongue, cannot pronounce his name properly, so
Okay.
they just dubbed it Sleep.
Okay.
It's absolutely insane, and like the guy's vocal range is incredible. Like there's like progressive metal, progressive rock elements,
Hmm.
and then they'll switch it up and they'll do something soft, something ambient, and it's so soothing. He's actually done a couple of covers. Um, he calls them From the Room Below. He's done a cover of When the Party Is Over by Billie Eilish, and he's done a cover of Whitney Houston as well. So it's it was it, once you listen to those, it'll change the way you think about those songs, the original versions. Absolutely incredible.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. I'm gonna check it out. What's the name of the band again?
Sleep Token.
I'm gonna make sure I remember that because I'm gonna check that out later. Um,
I'll send you a link to one of their songs whenever we're done with this interview here.
I appreciate it, man.
Oh
Now,
yeah, no problem.
are you a fan of horror movies? Or are you and just don't want to be horror movies, just fans? You have a genre of movies you like to watch?
comedy/horror fan, but I'm really picky with my horror movies. Like, I haven't had anything scare me legitimately in probably, at least, anything coming from a movie for a long time. I think Insidious was the first time I got, like real anxious watching it.
Okay.
It, like, really kind of creeped me out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that, I haven't gotten anything that really, I want to get to a point where I'm afraid to shut my lights off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Now, as a kid, I can say for me in particular, when I was a kid, 2 movies gave me nightmares as a kid, and one was Nightmare on Elm Street, and one was The Shining. And I remember watching that as a kid and having a nightmare for like 3 days. What was the movie as a kid that gave you nightmares?
Oh, honestly, no movies gave me nightmares as a kid because my parents didn't let me watch those movies whenever I was younger.
Yeah.
But what did give me nightmares was The Undertaker in like 94, 95 era. That gave me nightmares.
The Undertaker?
As a child. The Undertaker, yes.
You talking about WWE? You know WWF Undertaker?
Absolutely, yes I am.
Oh, that is nice. I like that because that probably gave a lot of people nightmares.
It was, and rightfully so. Whenever he started to go ahead and he changed started to change his appearance like slowly, and his hair got real long, and like the makeup would be like more pale, and like the purple accents under his eyes, and certain camera angles, whenever they would catch him on the right angle, it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life at that time.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can.
And Paul Bear having that voice.
Yeah, the high pitched,
Yeah, for no reason. It's like, man, you're really like, you're making me not want to go to sleep.
Yeah,
that's what I want from horror movies, but it just hasn't happened yet.
I think, to be honest, if you are a horror fan, it's going to be hard to really necessarily scare you because you've been desensitized to a lot. So it's going to have to be more. It's going to have to be like, it's going to have to hit you personally to really give you an actual be scared, like literally be scared. You're going to have to be invested in it to a point where the people seem real. In a lot of horror movies, right, it's hard to do it because you're suspending. You have to suspend disbelief already when you go into it. But when it's a drama, when the movie is a drama, I'll tell you what one. It may not scare you, but it's a serious movie. I think it's called Heredity.
Wait, what's it called again?
I think it's called Heredity. I think it's
Heritage.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Oh wait, Hereditary.
Hereditary. Yeah, Hereditary. That's in the same movie. I wouldn't go so far as say it's going to scare you, but it's intense, and it never lets up.
I wanted to watch that one. My wife ended up watching it before me, and I got really upset, and I didn't watch the movie after that.
Yeah, they kind of just ruined it though. Someone beats it to it. But it's such an uncomfortable movie because it's a drama and it's a horror movie at the same time. The drama part is like it's very intense. The subject matter they deal with is pretty cool, and that's one's good.
I don't mean to interrupt, but have you seen the movie Get Out?
Yes, genius.
Man, that was such a good one.
That was genius.
It was.
What's the name? Jordan Peele is the most underrated like comedian, director, whatever you want to call him. And he was on Mad TV for like forever, and they did nothing with him until he left. Yeah, he was on Mad TV. He was on Mad TV in the later years. It was him and Keegan-Michael Key was on both on Mad TV, and he was trying to get out of his contract, but they wouldn't let him do it. And they had a gym there.
Wow, I had no idea they were even on there.
And a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't know Mad TV was on forever. And Mad TV had a lot of tons of gems of people on there that could have been something if they knew how to market them. SNL, let's be honest, SNL is not great. It's not like really funny. And it probably hasn't been funny for a long time. But they know how to market a lot of people who's become famous. You can't name anyone from Mad TV who's actually done anything prominent that you would say the same as SNL. I can name you 10 people on SNL off the back. I can't name you 10 people off you know who they are because you watch Mad TV. But if if you didn't watch Mad TV and I said their names, like who? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, there was a couple people that came from SNL. I think like it was like obviously like Adam Sandler and
Yeah.
Chris Farley, David Spade, like those guys came from that, and I think Will Ferrell as well. But
Yep.
those were like pretty much the only ones I think that made anything off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those are the ones that like pretty much went up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for Farley, obviously, but
yeah, well,
that goes pretty much without saying.
Yeah, no, he's another person who is very underrated. They say he could have been a very good actor, and he was up for this comedian, this comedian back in the day. His name was Fatty Arbuckle. It was back in the 20s or 30s. He was like during the silent era or probably after it, and his life was kind of rough too, because at a party, this girl gets a beer bottle or something inserted and breaks off, and she ended up dying. But since it was his party, he was blamed for it, and he was in the paper, and even if he got acquitted, doesn't make any difference, because when they see that in the paper, they assume you did it, and that ended up destroying his career.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and he could have did a good job. They say he was a great actor, but if you essentially if you have audible.com, and if you don't try to get if you do try to get Jim Brewer's audio book. It's probably one of the best books, and he talks about Chris Farley in the book. It'll depress you. It is so depressing. His life is rough.
Sure. Yeah, like a lot of those things, like a lot of like those tragedies. I watched those a little bit. Like I watched Dark Side of the Ring a lot too.
Yes.
Whenever the stuff was on IFC.
So good.
And, oh man, dude, seeing the one about Benoit, I was like, man, dude, that put me in a dark spot. Like Owen Hart too. That was another one that just like tugged at my heartstrings, because watching that, and it was just like a tragic ending, such a tragic ending, because
it could have been avoided.
Afraid of heights.
Yeah, it could have been avoided. And then you hear the story that the way they had the harness, and the harness was for a boat, for like a Rip Tour or whatever. Something is supposed to release. It was the device, but it wasn't supposed to be attached to a human being. And
right, exactly, it was like for something just to hold something together. It wasn't for like a 230-pound man to descend from the ceiling.
No, that was insanity. And like
it was basically a carabiner that was supposed to hold your keys.
Yeah, that wasn't meant for a man. And then you hear, and it's like, what are you doing? And then, like, I'm glad they did Dark Side of the Ring, and a lot of stories I had no idea. I mean, I knew some of the wrestlers back in the day, but I didn't know their life was that rough. I didn't know about Snuka. I didn't hear about the Snuka case until like a couple of years ago, before Dark Side of the Ring. I didn't know he was almost convicted of killing a girl. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was another one. Like, did you see the one on Scott Hall?
Yeah, I watched his bio. His is depressing.
Yeah, now he ended up killing a guy.
Yeah.
Like he killed a guy back in I think the 70s or something like that.
They got
into a fight.
He was a bouncer. He was a bouncer at a nightclub, I think, in Florida.
Yeah. And he ended up killing a dude because I guess they got into a fight, and he ended up getting shot, and he got off because it was self-defense. I'm pretty sure that's how the case went.
Yeah, it was self-defense. He said it never left him. He said he never got help for it, because I think that was one thing that helped spiral his drug addiction, his alcohol addiction. And he said he'd been to rehab so many times, but the last time he went, they actually addressed the issue. And they said it's like a form of PTSD, that he never really addressed what happened, and that carried him the rest of his life. It's like, that makes sense though.
No, like that's he did struggle a lot too after all that stuff happened, because I think that was one of the main things that contributed to his the alcoholism and the drug use and all that stuff. I mean, that would probably mess me up too.
Yeah.
It goes along with the whole Bam Margera thing that's been going along like now. Like he's
that is rough. I didn't know he was that bad off. I did not know he was that terrible off. But you look back, there's signs. I just never picked up on them.
Well, the thing was with that is that he got help from, like, he was on the Dr. Phil show. I think it was right at the end of 2019, early
Okay.
2020, I think it was.
Okay.
And he got help. He got sent to a rehab and all that stuff. And it just, there's a lot of things just are not working for him.
No.
Especially with, Ryan Dunn dying and stuff
that.
Like, I understand that. But it's been quite a while now. And, like, he's kind of got to, like, just move on with your own life,
Yeah.
keep remembering him, obviously, but, I mean, you're killing yourself over something you have no control over.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The one dude actually did stay clean so far is Steve-O. He's actually, I'm kind of glad to see, and he has his own podcast, and I forget the name of it. You can find on YouTube. I find clips here and there where he interviews people. I'm glad he stays clean so far. He does stand up. I guess it's funny. I never watched any of it, but I'm sure it's good.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's like a lot of, like old Jackass stories and stuff like that. I've watched like snippets of some of his podcast work, and he actually had Jonathan Davis on there from Korn.
Okay.
And they were talking about how Jonathan Davis did meth, and I had absolutely no idea.
That's insane.
Isn't it? Doesn't that blow your mind a little bit that Jonathan Davis was a meth head?
That's insane. I would never put that together.
Yeah, it blew me away. I was like, I never even realized that he was on meth. Because, like, he looked clean. I'm sure he did.
Me fooled.
I'm sure he drank a lot back in the day, but I don't know, man. Sometimes whenever that stuff comes to the surface, it kind of freaks you out a little bit.
Yeah, because it like, when they were talking about people on heroin, I remember, this is a long time ago, and he's probably, I don't know, he might be an alcoholic. He looked kind of bad, though. Phil Anselmo of Pantera, I remember I was going to go see him back when Pantera was a thing, and apparently around that time, he had OD'd on heroin. I didn't know he even was on heroin. I didn't even know that was, like, I kind of figured he was an alcoholic. Most of them were pre-alcoholics, but I never thought he was a heroin addict.
I think so either. I knew for a fact that he was really big into alcohol.
Yeah.
But that pretty much, like, I think that was one of the reasons why Pantera didn't last as long as they did.
Yeah, they had a lot of problems. I have the book. Rex Brown had wrote a book on the band and everything, and he talks about how what's name was bad with money. He said that what's name Dimebag and his brother, his dad, their dad was their first like manager and was screwing their money up. And then as they get older, he said that I can't think of the drummer's name. It's some Abbott. I can't think of his name for some reason. Vinnie Paul said that he spent a whole lot of money on strippers and stuff, and he wasted his money, and so did Dimebag. They had a lot of problems. I mean, it was like it was already toxic, and not to mention the fact that what's his name, Phil, he had back problems, but he would never get it fixed. He would never get it back fixed, and that's the heroin came into place because he was masking the pain that's supposed to get it done. So it sucks what happened. It sucks what happened to them. It sucks what they broke up, and it's partially Phil's fault, but it was going to happen at some point. It was going to implode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that stuff. Whenever there's like drug and alcohol and money gets involved and then everything gets difficult, that stuff is just bound to end. It's not going to last forever. It's a shame that did happen, but at the same time, I mean, it's one of those things where it is what it is. And then Hell Yeah became a thing, and Damageplan became a thing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you can't really be too upset if you're really into those bands.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people that get like incredibly butthurt over a band breaking up, I mean, realistically, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Nothing.
It wasn't your band.
No.
There weren't your members. You didn't manage them. You're not losing any money. You still have the albums and the songs that they created before.
Yeah. Appreciate the music.
1,000 times over, so it's fine.
Yeah, you can just appreciate the music. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, over the years, I mean, most bands, I mean, you're a family, and it's like a marriage. And in a marriage, you get on people's nerves, especially if you're on tour with someone. You gotta look there in the face over day after day. At some point, you'll get tired, and
Oh yeah.
it's nothing personal, but it's like if I had to look at someone's face every day, at some point, I'm like, I'm tired of looking at you. I gotta do something else. So
Yeah, absolutely.
now, you are you a big wrestling fan?
Yeah, I mean, I was, oh man, dude, I was watching it religiously. From the, I'm sorry about the noise in the background. I'm like,
It's okay. Don't worry
trying to
about it.
shop right now.
It's all good. Don't worry
Um,
about it.
I was watching it religiously back in like the '90s and early 2000s, and I pretty much like me and my father, we had like that was like our one common bond was that we both loved wrestling,
Okay.
and when he passed away in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
that's when like my love for wrestling kind of died with him in a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got into it and it was like getting good, and then I just like looked at it and I was like, man, I don't have like a wrestling buddy here anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
So
you.
like kind of hurt a little bit, and
Yeah.
eventually I just got to a point where like I kind of fell off. There's times where I still kind of like check in on it to see what's going on and see who's champion because I keep forgetting. And
Yeah.
for the most part, like nowadays I don't watch it anymore. I just end up watching old WrestleManias, and
Oh, that's cool.
I'll watch all the Undertaker matches. Me and my buddy John, actually, we have another thing called Last of a Dying Breed, and we're pushing like underground artist designs and stuff like that, and
Okay.
getting into photography and videography and stuff like that. We did our first music video for Skies of Terra for Worlds Collide. The Party Is Over.
Okay.
We did that. I edited it and everything like that. But him and I, we are getting to a point where we're trying to watch like every Undertaker match from start to finish for all of his WrestleMania matches.
Okay.
But that's pretty much like the extent of it for
That's cool.
the wrestling part. Like I mean, the network is a good thing because I'll watch like the old Raws and stuff like that. When
It's
Stone
worth
Cold,
it
like he
to have
was
it.
the man, and
Yes.
always going off with the Rock and stuff like that. Those were the days. I think those were like the prime
It was.
years. You know what I mean?
That's when that's when they had more leeway, or they were braver enough to go out and basically, be more of themselves, where the crowds can see, appreciate this is a real person as opposed to a cartoon character, and that's what made them. That's what The Rock and Stone Cold, and from some, I guess, Triple H and some other people, if you want to say, but a lot of them were themselves. And I say the thing I never thought I would ever see, and this is from an era that I would never see this character see him as a person. Seeing an Undertaker talk like a regular dude is the most jarring thing in the world. I never thought I would see that.
Right. Wasn't that one of the most like mind blowing things you've ever heard in your life?
I felt weird. It's like hearing that's literally my childhood. No one else from my childhood I've ever seen. Like, everyone else is a regular dude now. I'm pretty much accepting them a regular dude. But when the Undertaker started talking like a regular person, having conversations and telling stories about his life, this is insane. I'm like, I'll never get tired of hearing this. This is the weirdest thing in the world. I can't get over the fact that this is a regular dude talking.
And like, 100% honesty, like the last ride, that hit me so deep. I'm like, man, I'm literally watching something that I've watched my entire life just go away.
Yeah.
Like, it's the end. That's it. He is not wrestling anymore. But like, you see, you're like, man, like, he keeps coming back for WrestleMania. It's like, dude, just retire. It's over. It's done. But then you see everything that he goes through to compete in these matches, like getting the shot of like numbing medicine in like all four parts of his knee, and like the depression, the ups and the downs of like not competing at WrestleMania, and then he wants to get back on the card, and
he doesn't.
You have like a newfound respect for him in a way,
That made me like someone even more when I got to see the human side. That's why I was always a huge Stone Cold fan, regardless. But when he did his podcast, when he started talking, it's like this is the coolest dude. He is hilarious. He is the coolest person. And you hear stories from other wrestlers if they come on a podcast, like JR is to me the greatest, announcer, or whatever you want to call him, commentator. And the stories he tells, are just full on insanity. Like,
Oh yeah.
and
There was
go ahead.
there was one thing that he said that I caught wind of. I think it was one of the WrestleManias when the Undertaker was wrestling. Whenever he had like that big evil gimmick,
Yeah.
where he cut his hair and all that stuff, he called him Booger Red. And like I caught it, and I was like, "What in the hell is he trying to pull? Booger Red?" So I looked it up, and there was like I think it was a Reddit article of
Yeah.
like why JR called him Booger Red. Apparently, Booger Red was I think a Texan football player. He was a big dude, and he had like the red hair,
Oh,
and it just came off as like I think it was like a nickname that he had for just
awesome.
being a really really mean, nasty guy. And he tried to call the Undertaker that for the entire duration of the match, and it just didn't stick.
No.
JR's words said it said the idea of that literally shit the bed because it just went nowhere, and like no one, they were like, just don't do that anymore.
Yeah. No. In the beginning, the Undertaker didn't want he didn't want Jr. to basically talk about his basketball career, because he had it before he became a wrestler. He had, like, I guess he played for Tennessee or some, and he was gonna go like in the college or whatever league, whatever. But on the Bruce Pritchard podcast, Bruce Pritchard talks about how Undertaker said, if JR mentions my basketball career again, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna hit him. And that's he said. What's his name said? I like to see that happen. I kind of wanted to see him do it. I want to see him to mention it and see Undertaker break character and come out and hit him.
I actually kind of forgot that Undertaker played basketball back in the day. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's a funny. That's what I'm saying. You just like see the thing about it's why it's so jarring is Undertaker never broke character. Everyone else broke character, and they tried their best to break him. They couldn't do it. He would not break character. He would always stay.
Even in public, he wore all black and he didn't say much. And he lived the gimmick, and that's what you had to do to essentially get over with fans back in those days.
They if they could see through your facade, they weren't gonna buy it. Now,
Absolutely.
it's probably on the WWE network. If it's not, look up on YouTube. Look up Vader and Undertaker, and I think they're in Kuwait or some Middle Eastern country.
Yep.
And
I know what you're talking about. The interview where they get real like pissed off at the guy who said like wrestling was fake or something like that.
Yeah. I said,
and rightfully so. They went off.
Yeah, but the thing about it is the story doesn't stop there. What's the name? Vader almost didn't make out of there because they don't know he's playing a character. They think he's serious, and he almost got stuck there. And that would have been his ass.
Wow, are you serious? I did not know that.
Oh no, that interview was not supposed to go that way. Now, and they're not really associating them as real people, and they're carrying a conversation. And I think Vader got a little too carried away and a little heated because he took with their naiveness as being disrespectful, and he got up and grabbed his shirt. Well, on the Bruce Pritchard podcast, you might be able to find the old archives of Something to Wrestle With. They talk about the story. It was going to be his ass. He was not going to make it out of there because you do not put your hands on officials, even newscasters. You do not do that because they take that as a threat. And he almost didn't make it out. He almost was. He would. Last time we heard about Vader, it's like shame what happened to him. They didn't chop his head off over there because they do not play. Because I didn't know that story. I'm like, you don't. My thing is like, oh, you about to get snatched up, and then I found out the story. So, oh God, you didn't messed up. They don't play like that.
No, they definitely don't. Like, yeah, I didn't know that. He almost didn't make it out of there. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like the thing. Sometimes it doesn't translate, you know, or overseas, and a lot of times, like I think the same thing happened to Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, I think he was in Brazil, and he was playing a heel, and it's what heels do. They incite the crowd. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he grabbed the Brazilian flag, and he like blew his nose on it or something and stomped on it.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
they gonna get his ass too. They gonna get him. They were coming for him. He said
I
he
think he just got banned from there, though.
I think he
I
got
think that's
fined
pretty much
too.
what.
I think he got fined. I think the police were gonna arrest him, but he did get banned for life. He might get banned for life, but he got the um the WWE website, basically suspended him. He ain't find
Yeah,
he didn't find out till he got home. He got suspended, but I think he reversed it. But still, those things like when you go overseas, they do not play with you because they think you're being serious. You're
yeah,
not.
he was under a lot of heat for that one. I remember that. That was a sticky situation with him.
Yeah, those things always them stories I never get tired of hearing. And that's why I'm glad that they're doing podcasts now and they get to tell the stories because back in the day, unless you had dirt sheets or something like that, and they're not necessarily reliable, a lot of them are just what they want you to hear. But when you hear like stories like let's say I'm trying to think of one. Uh, who was it? JR tells a story about two wrestlers back in, I guess, not even Mid South, but before Mid South, the old territories. And these two wrestlers were wrestling in the ring, and one of them gets suplexed, and he basically shits himself, and he's trying to cover up his yellow tights because they're getting browner and browner. You would think they just stopped the match or just called an audible, but he had to get his stuff in, so he's still wrestling.
You
And,
said this was back in the day, right?
yeah,
Because I remember CM Punk had a story about him shitting himself.
yep, he did. So did Stone Cold. He shit himself. Um, who was it? Andre the Giant.
Yeah, that
Basically
doesn't
shit
surprise me.
on Bad News Brown. I was like, man, what's with them in poop?
I don't know. I guess like they eat like the wrong thing the night before, and I don't know, man. I know for a fact like a lot of protein will make you kind of like
Yeah, bubbles.
it'll make you shit a decent bit. Um, but I don't know, man. I know for a fact like I would probably do whatever I can to make sure that I do not shit myself on national television. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like
I wear
especially
a
where
diaper if I have to.
yeah, like
You're not gonna see this.
I get embarrassed enough. Like I'm not gonna get embarrassed on national TV like that. There's no way.
That's a horrifying feeling. Just think about, and it's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. Your stomach is bubbling. It's like we gotta.
Oh,
I'm just going to lose the match. I'm going to stop, and I'm not going to poop out here
yeah, no way.
because you cannot unsee that. You can when you get out the ring and you're wearing nothing but underwear. It's not like you're wearing a full jumpsuit. Even then, that's pretty rough because you're all going to smell it. The first row is going to get hit with poo.
Yeah, no. I'd rather get hit with chairs and everything else. I'm not gonna get hit with food.
Were you like a what? Besides WWE, did you ever watch any other? Did you ever get to see any other promotions or anything like that?
Um, like in person or
Well, just on television. Just how much did you ever get to watch any of them?
I got into Ring of Honor for quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
I used to actually like do backyard wrestling and stuff like that whenever I was younger, and I don't anymore because everything hurts now.
I
Um,
bet.
there was a couple people that I was that would start out in the backyard obviously and kind of move their way up. Alex Zane actually was one of them. He started in the yard and he got professional training, did everything right, and now he's actually signed to WWE NXT.
Okay,
I was
that's all
I
right though.
watched. Yeah, man, it's sick. I'm super proud of the guy. Um, I watched Ring of Honor a little bit, and that's another one who's there. I think on a regular basis now is Tony Deppen. Did the same thing, yard, got professional training, did everything right,
That's
and
cool.
he's one of the probably one of the top prospects of the independent circuit for sure. So I watched a little bit of that.
That's cool.
I'd watch like New Japan every now and then.
All right.
AEW was one of the ones that I watched, like whenever it first started.
Yeah.
But it just goes along with the whole wrestling thing. It's just
Not the same.
I'm not into it as much as I used to, and it's a little bit of a shame because there's new stars happening. Like there's bigger and better things happening in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I understand. It's not the same. It's not the same. Because I still watch it, but not. I don't watch it religiously, and it's not because. And here's the thing: it's not because of COVID, because there's no fans. It doesn't really bother me. It's because that, and this is my own personal opinion. I feel that WWE has gotten. It doesn't have the same appeal, whatever it's the writing or the storylines or whatever they're not doing. They're not going. They need to go back to the well and do a reset of all whatever they're doing, because it's. I don't care when I watch it. I don't care who's like the champion. I don't care about their storylines. They don't mean anything.
Yeah, like I honestly think that some of the people in the creative process, they should not be there.
Yeah.
I honestly 100% believe that, because they're doing things that are not fitting characters, and like Bray Wyatt was one of the ones that for some reason was a creative nightmare. And I'm like, dude, he has and had hands down one of the absolute best gimmicks.
Yes.
In the entire company,
awesome.
The entire industry, the best gimmicks. Now, if you don't know what to do with a character like Bray Wyatt, whenever he first came onto the scene, he was playing the character of just a cult leader.
Yes.
A cult leader. You can't go wrong with writing a story for a cult leader.
No.
You make him the most, powerful, like mind-bending person on the roster. But for some reason, they did not do that. And I feel like they were starting to drop the ball with the Firefly Funhouse gimmick as well.
Yeah, to get lazy.
Yeah, it's pure laziness. It's like, let Wyatt take creative control over his gimmick. Not exactly him winning matches, getting over and stuff like that. Let him have control of what he does with this character, and I will guarantee they will make money. And look at the Firefly Funhouse gimmicks on like just during whenever it first started. It was like one of the like more like top viewed things, and like
it was genius.
His merchandise sold out, and it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
They did a great job. I think that's my thing about wrestling in general, that you can tell that they have prominent stars. Like, I tell you a good person, and I don't know where he is. I'm sure he's out for some reason. I don't know what the reason why he's not there. It might be personal issues, but Aleister Black was this big, like 6 foot kickboxing dude, all tatted up, and he had awesome like theme music, and they couldn't do nothing with him. He came to the main roster, and it was just goofy. And now he's not there at all. And it's like, you get this giant dude, you can't use him.
Yeah, like a dark satanic force, like that can kick the shit out of anybody. Like it literally blows my mind the fact that they can't figure out what to do with someone like Aleister Black. Like, dude, you can do anything with him.
Perfect.
He can be like he can be one of the biggest heels in the company. 100%.
Yes, and I don't understand why they can't they can't do anything with him right now. I don't understand why they're dropping the ball.
It's just one of those things with creative. It's like these dark forces. Like they can't recreate another Undertaker.
No. Why would you want to?
And I think like with these dark forces, they have too many difficulties trying to figure out what to do with them. Aleister Black, it's open and shut. You have him be the dark person that he is, and let him run with it. Do the same thing with Wyatt. Let him run with it.
Yes.
And it's you can't replicate another Undertaker. You can't replicate another Kane. It's just those are characters that are just untouchable. You can't do it. You can't
No.
duplicate it. It's never going to happen. However, you can take off of that and just build off of it.
Yes.
And you can create something new, but they fail every time, and it fucking kills me.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's frustrating, and you be like, and the thing is always in. I don't know what it is, and foreign wrestlers get worse. Even they get worse, and I noticed this. That's why I'm glad. One of my favorite wrestlers. He's in AEW. He's doing okay, I guess, but he was also in this thing called Lucha Underground. Pentagon Dark was one of the coolest wrestlers, and I said to myself, it'd be kind of cool to be a WWF. But I'm like, then I thought about it. Then I thought about Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura was a giant wrestler in New Japan. He was like, the big breakout star. Now he's in WWE. He means nothing. He might as well be a janitor.
It's hard to pinpoint what the issue is with Shinsuke. I think it's mainly just the language barrier.
It is.
And it's very unfortunate because he's an amazing talent.
Yeah.
He's one of the most, I'd say, like, unique and flamboyant ones on the entire roster.
Yes, he is.
And I don't know, it's just I knew the language barrier thing was going to be a problem for him, and the same thing with Asuka too.
Yep.
It's always a language barrier.
Exactly.
And it's always going to be like the biggest downfall for him.
Yeah, I agree, but it's like I think it's our issues no much more than theirs, because in Japan we are American wrestlers are more easy accessible and likable, and they can understand them better in Japan as opposed to here, because they got Kenny Omega, they had Chris Jericho, they had wrestlers back in the day that were like I don't think they spoke a whole lot of Japanese, but they could translate better there than here. We don't. That's why you don't never see any big. You can't name me any big name wrestlers that are like foreign wrestler. You can say Yokozuna, but he was Hawaiian, so he could speak English. So it's not like you could understand them, or any big name wrestlers who mimicked. They mimicked other cultures, but they were not from that culture. They just portrayed themselves as like Russian or German, whatever. But a lot of the ones that are actually foreign don't do very well. For whatever reason, they just don't translate.
I think the biggest issue between pro wrestling in Japan and pro wrestling here in America is more so, at least on a mainstream platform, base. It's more so of an entertainment company. It's strictly just that. It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
Over in Japan, it's considered an art form. It's highly respected.
It is.
You notice how on New Japan they don't cheer.
No.
They don't do like huge pops.
No.
They do everything like in sync. They're very respectable.
Mm-hmm.
And like they'll clap.
Yeah.
They'll give an actual applause for pretty much every match because they respect it so highly.
They look at it as a real fight. They look at it as a competition as opposed to a show. And nothing against we're basically designed to see, whatever that is awesome. Holy shit. We're used to saying stuff like that, but in there, they look at it as a straight up fight. They look at it as like a straight up competition. So they're not going to be sitting there cheering goofy stuff just for the sake of cheering it. They're not going to boo them either for the sake of boo them. They're actually looking like this. To me is a straight up, like, I look at them as actual people, even though they're portraying characters. So in a way, not a negative thing, and it is what it is. I think they appreciate it more than we do at times.
Right, exactly. It's just one of those things that culture differences, and it's one of those things where it just it is what it is. But what are you gonna do for most of the part? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I actually have to cut this probably short because I'm about to go and get my arm chewed up now by a needle.
It's all good. I appreciate you doing this and everything. We did it for almost about an hour, so I wouldn't. I appreciate the time you took to do it. So.
So you said wrestling and just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I know. But it's all good. I enjoyed the conversation, so.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on.
All right. But hope we talk again next time.
What's that?
Hope we talk again next time.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
We'll definitely talk again.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
No problem. See you.
Right, bye.
Bye. Once again, it's another elated podcast that I've done, and I really appreciate my man on here being able to take the time and do it. The band, hope I can get this right because I don't want to guess it, even though I literally just looked at his name. Justin Townsend of Skies of Terror, really good band. Check them out. He's on Facebook. They're on YouTube too. Please check them out. They're a really good band. So you'll really like them too because I like them. They're also a band. Once again, thank y'all who out there is listening. So I'll have someone in tomorrow. Have one other person tomorrow is going to interview Sunday. She's pretty cool. She has a really good voice. I don't know if she's going to do this full time and make music, but it'll be an interesting conversation. But once again, signing out on Nerds Podcast, and I'll see you later.